You know, I had a chance. I was waking up and I was getting ready to go out and do my workout this morning, which is what I'm on my way to do now. And Jada's interview with Hoda came across my screen, and I had a chance to listen. See, sometimes once you get past the initial sting of the audacity of this person to say these things, and you actually begin to listen, this is why I'm glad that I try to be, not perfect, try to be an objective thinker, a philosopher. It said that a smart person learns from his mistakes, a wise person learns from the mistakes of others. Jada said something that was extremely true. Extremely true. She was asked the question, well, when did the relationship break up? When did words to the effect of, when did the relationship break up? When did you all, come to your aha moment? And she said something that was extremely profound. She said, we just got to the point where we got tired of living in the fantasy of who we thought the other person should be. And Dr. Umar said something that was very powerful about the brain, that, the brain is a wonderful creation, but it is still slave to repetition. So I just began to let that just sit on my mind over and over and over and over again. And she is 1,000% correct. See, trauma is, and I don't like using the word generational trauma because it doesn't really put it in the context of where it came from. Some people don't even know the generation. They don't even really truly study that. So it has no real punch like it needs to be. Culturally cultivated and family shared chronic trauma. Chronic trauma. Relationship trauma, family trauma, childhood trauma is so profound that it'll give you rose-colored glasses, and it'll cause you to live in the fantasy of who you think you are and who you think other people are or should be. And I would not be surprised if Will and Jada's relationship was a trauma bonding relationship, is a trauma bonding relationship, and as they begin to grow, who you are in your 20s is not who you're going to be in your 30s. Who you are in your 30s is not who you're going to be in your 40s, right? Like John C. Maxwell said, kind of like generalizing it. Your 20s is adjustment. Your 30s is, I forgot what else he said. Your 20s is adjustment. Your 30s is, your 20s is alignment. Your 30s is adjustment. Your 40s is ascension, I believe. No, that's your 50s. I forgot it. I'm having a brain fart. Sorry, but just go look it up. It's in this book, Good Leaders Ask Great Questions, and it may come to me, right? Who you are in your 20s is not who you're going to be in your 30s, your 40s, and the like, right? As they begin to grow, they begin to learn things about each other. See, that's the one thing that you will not be able to escape from most people, is that as you begin to grow, we as humans are the collections of 5 things: needs, education, experiences, habits, and motivations. I'll say it again. Needs, education, experiences, habits. And so when you think about it, your education is what you learn to get what you need, get to what you need. But your experiences are the flavor and the seasoning that is put on top of that education, or even the lack thereof. Sometimes you got people who have seasoning but no education. So there's like icing but no cake, right? Stuffing but no, you get it, right? And so without that education, you get the seasoning of life through the experiences that you experience with your spouse or significant other or whatever's and other people, and then top that with the education that we happen to get later on in life. See, I hate to say it, but there are some cultures, right, where you get the education after you get the experience. You get the education after you get the experience. And then when you get that education, then it begins to make that seasoning. Oh, so that's what that means. And that's what that means. So when you think about what Jada said, that we just got tired of living in the fantasy that we thought the other person should be, she is 1,000% correct. See, I'm reminded of a sprinter versus a marathoner. And if you look at the physical shape, if you will, the structure, the build of the marathoner versus the sprinter is more muscular, if you will, more bulkier, if you will, in certain cases. Doesn't mean like in the gym, big, Arnold Schwarzenegger type muscular, but they're muscular, right? Why? Because they need the muscles for the quick blast of energy for the short distance they are going to run. The marathoner doesn't need all of that. Why? Because the marathoner who is endurance minded, who is time minded, who actually kind of wants to win ahead of everyone else, right? You look at the marathoners who finish in the top third of the marathon, not the ones who just complete the race, but the ones who actually want to, win first, second, third, whatever, in the top third of the race, if not a smaller percentage. Just indulge me for a minute, right? They don't have all that weight on them like that. Why? They don't have all that weight on them because they know, here we go, they know that one, you can't run with all that weight on you and last the distance. See, marriage is a marathon. Parenting is a marathon. And trauma will sign you up for the marathon you can't complete. Trauma will make you believe that you can last the distance. But then when you get on the track and you get tired quickly, like Jada said, we got tired of living in the fantasy of what we thought the other person should be. No truer words have been spoken. Very profound what she said. Very, very profound what she said. And trauma, after a while, you will end up getting tired. After some point of being in this situation of what you thought it would be, and your life experience may begin to expose you, especially if you get further education, may begin to expose you to some things that you were never taught. You were never taught these things. Certain things like family law, there's a thing to get into. Taking anger management education, not getting offended at the suggestion of anger management education, but seeing it as education so you can see the psychological symptoms and triggers in yourself and others, right? Taking parenting classes, I suggest the breakthrough parenting method. 12 to 14, 15 weeks of long education where there's a workbook where you have to do the work for you without shame or judgment so that you can see and be honest about the things that you've been through. Unfortunately, some cultures are reactive education. It's reactive education, not proactive education. Proactive is, right, looking at things from a stoic, pragmatic, realistic standpoint where you're like, okay, nothing new is under the sun. You're going to likely go through these things. So let me toughen up and strengthen up the mind so that you can begin to understand and have the tools to be able to deal with life's challenging problems. When you come from a culture where the culture cultivates the idea that you could teach a child all the good things and they will still go their own way, which is the antithesis of why teachers teach. Teachers don't teach on the basis that you must use this tool. Teachers don't teach on the basis that, well, you're going to use this tool. Teachers teach on the basis that this is the tool that you will need, so let me give it to you. Whether you use it or not is up to you. I know that I've given you, I've tested to show myself approved in teaching you, tested you to show yourself approved in learning it. If you got the grade, good. If you didn't get it, I tried. I can honestly say I gave it the good college try. And when you come from a culture that cultivates that type of mindset, you don't consider the value in education and why our children need to be taught. So I'm going to wrap it up. I'm getting close to where I need to be so I can get my workout on. Wrapping it up to say this. Jada is 1,000% correct that once you get past the initial sting of the fact that we wish, let's talk facts, we wish they'd not put this stuff out there, there's value in it. There's value in what she said. She is 1,000% correct. And a lot of us, a lot of you are living in a fantasy of a relationship of who you think this person should be versus who they actually are. Who are you actually? Who are you actually? I gotta say this. I saw a post that, well, right now, somebody is talking bad about you. Somebody is saying bad things about you, right? I forgot the specific words of the post, but the gist of the post is somebody who used to benefit from you is now speaking bad about you to others. And I begin to think, at first, oh, yeah, that's right. You definitely right. That's what someone's doing. But then I begin to think about it. The education that I have began to kick in. Aren't we all bad for someone or we're bad for someone at some point? Right? Were we all bad for someone at some point? So we got to be able to look at the thing being said without taking it personally to the point where we destroy our own self-esteem. Yes, I can say that I have been bad in characteristics and certain things, good or bad, for someone. If you got good characteristics about you that someone can't take, that could be bad for them. If you got bad characteristics about yourself that you don't know about, but the education this other person gets makes you bad for them, does that make you a bad person entirely? Let's look at the context. Context is what we miss in a lot of things. And trauma does not give you the time to understand people, to grasp hold of the context. A lot of us have the sprinter muscles of trauma that we don't even slow down, which is what a marathon is about. A marathon is about taking things at a steady pace, not rushing, so to speak, to get to this quick thing that we want. See, trauma does not afford you the patience that life demands. I'm going to say that again. Trauma does not afford you the patience that life demands. Life demands patience. Children demand patience. Relationships demand patience. But trauma doesn't afford you that. You got to have it right now. Trauma, people with trauma are good intentioned people that struggle in 5 skill areas. Notice I said skill, S-K-I-L-L, skill areas. Security, patience, loyalty, communication, and follow through. Security, patience, loyalty, communication, and follow through. These are the areas that people in trauma struggle in because they don't have the skills for that area. And the people who were responsible for teaching them those skills likely did not have skills in those areas. It's true. We'll talk about the definition of patience on the next time. Jada Pinkett Smith, keep speaking. Keep speaking. And that right there is going to make me get your book. It's going to make me get your book. It may not be selling with others, but I find value in that. I'm not a fan of how you doing it, but hey, You can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. You can't make an omelet without